Why is life so boring? Day in and day out, it feels like we're stuck on the same scripted path. 7 a.m, your alarm goes and you're immediately off to work or school. You're stuck in the same traffic on the morning commute, surrounded by dozens of people in your exact position. You work from the hours of 9 through 5, not because you want to, but because you have to. And then you come home tired as usual, watch some junk on Netflix and hit the sack. Then you rinse and repeat for the rest of your remaining days. Isn't there more to life than this? People tell us it could be worse. You could be homeless, you could have been born with no arms or legs, you could be in fucking jail. And they're probably right, but that doesn't make it any easier. It's like half the time we're fantasizing about the life we could have, if we were some kind of celebrity or we won the lottery, rather than the one we're currently living. I spent years waiting for something interesting to happen, the thing that would make my life stand out from the rest and break the monotony. And I found it, just not in the way that you think. Social media has sold you a lie, and that's that your life has to be exciting 24 hours a day. Jet setting around the world, partying in Ibiza, enjoying the finer things. But there's a couple of problems with that. Firstly, the new standard is that every day has to be exceptional, and a day spent at home in your own company isn't good enough. And secondly, it leads many people to optimize their lives towards the opinions of others rather than genuinely engaging with and appreciating the current moment. Now it's all about looking happy and fulfilled rather than authentically feeling it. I might go on Instagram right now and see a picture of some influencer chick out on a yacht in Dubai, living her best life. Except she's not. She's stressing over lighting and which angle is going to make her rear end look the biggest. In between shots, she's barking orders at her photographer. She's trying her best to hold the same goofy facial expression for 30 minutes. And all of this to convince you that she's happy and fulfilled. The people supposedly living the dream life are not even present in their experience. I know a million people have said this before me, but social media is not reality. Or at least it represents reality in the same way that a movie would. Like, how in a movie an unrealistic amount of crazy things happen within a 2-hour runtime and they don't show you any of the boring parts. Like, they don't show you the main character taking a shit in the film, do they? They show you the highlights. And that's what social media is, it's the highlight reel. It's people selectively showing you the best and most positive aspects of their life. And when you're constantly exposed to that, you naturally begin to question, why does my life seem so regular? Why am I not skiing in the Alps or swimming with dolphins? It conditions us to believe that everything that falls outside of the ultra exciting must be boring. But when you think about it, who really defines what boredom is? Everyone thinks that quitting their job to go traveling or living this influencer lifestyle will finally make their life interesting and is the furthest possible thing from boredom. But when every day is this ultra exciting thing, I'd argue that that becomes boring. Because the magic wears off, you become desensitized to it. This is a real thing called hedonic adaptation. Say if you were to get rich and start upgrading your lifestyle, you wouldn't feel any happier. You just get used to it. And that's kind of a wake-up call for those of us that are banking on the future being better. Because if you were chronically underwhelmed, chronically unhappy before, that's not going to change with a bit of extra money. It's just like this quote from Naval Ravikant. If you can't be happy with the coffee, you won't be happy with the yacht. But let me ask you this question. If there was a way for you to stop fixating on what you're lacking and just start enjoying the here and now while you're alive, would you take it? And that if one day you were rich or successful, you'd be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor and live in the moment. Because I think some things that are comparatively boring never get old. In fact, I think some of the happiest moments of my life have taken place outside of the highlight reels. In the ordinary moments that we take for granted. And sure, it's not going to score you any Instagram clout points, but it's the closest thing to long-term happiness that I've found. So first you've got to understand that people nowadays are chronically distracted. You can pull out a device anywhere and at any time to entertain yourself, so you don't have to tolerate being bored anymore. Whenever we have downtime or nothing to do, we instinctually pull out Instagram or start playing some video game just to pass the time. Because in the modern world, boredom is the worst thing we could possibly feel. The thing is, I don't believe that to be true. And I think your reliance on those distractions is actually making you more bored in the long run. This need for excitement and escaping the present moment is desensitizing you from the ordinary. In plain English, the more you choose to distract yourself when you feel bored, the more lifeless and depressing the world becomes. But if distracting ourselves isn't an option, what do we do instead? And that leads me to one very important skill that almost entirely solved this problem for me. Because before I was probably just like you. Every day felt more or less the same and was spent fantasizing about a more exciting life than my own. I was so distracted and overstimulated, I couldn't go to the bathroom without taking my phone. And I just wasn't content with the direction my life was going in. And that's when I discovered mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully aware of the present moment, consciously focusing on the here and now. You might have 50,000 thoughts a day, but most of them you're not even consciously aware of. They just appear in our mind, and without even processing why they've appeared, we react to them. We allow them to change our emotional state. And mindfulness is where we intercept that thought before we can react to it. Say if there was some kind of irrational thought that was bothering you, you can become aware of it and then decide from there if it was even worth getting bothered about. And if it's not, simply discard it. When you're in this state of mindfulness, all of your senses are enhanced and you begin to perceive the world as this much more colourful and exciting place. You're suddenly aware of all these hidden details, sights, sounds, textures that you've been missing out on because you're so caught up in your thoughts. Now right now you might be thinking, how is something like that even a skill? And how can it help me? Well, to train this skill of mindfulness, it's actually very simple. Sure, it might not be simple for people with TikTok brain, but I'm sure you can handle it. The next time you feel the urge to distract yourself, tune into the present. Notice the sights, the sounds, the smells, the tastes. Absorb the moment. I'm not kidding at all when I say building in these moments of mindfulness to my day has changed my life. Because for so many years, I never realized that by checking out the present moment, that by wishing I was somewhere else, or leading a different life, I was depriving myself of so much joy to be found in the small everyday moments. Taking a walk through nature, having a conversation with my parents, sipping on a hot drink. To someone who's hyper-stimulated, these things might seem boring, but when you are fully present and engaged in them, they become an entirely different experience. And when you stop relying on escapism, you can finally see these moments for what they are. Small everyday blessings that you can be grateful for. Because let's face it, one day you might not be able to enjoy them. Don't be the guy on his deathbed who's only just become aware of the beauty that's been around him his whole life. Would you rather be the influencer, sleepwalking their way through Dubai, totally disengaged, desensitized from their experience? Or would you rather be at home, enjoying a meal with your family, soaking in the moment while you're all still together? I know which one I'd pick. Every fucking day is special, don't waste it.